Scott and April with Naughty Jim here, and on today's episode, we're going to give you a recap of our Smoky Mountain Naughty Jim adventure trip. We just got home, but first, we want to give you a little save the date about an amazing event we have coming up in January of 2024.
Yeah, we're going to be collaborating with Hedonism Resort in Jamaica to do a full resort takeover, focusing on health and wellness, sexual health and wellness as well, and a host of topics that we're calling the Be Better at Being Bad Week. So we hope you guys will mark your calendars. It's January 6th through the 13th of 2024, and the whole week the itinerary is going to be absolutely full of experts, influencers, people who can help you be better at being bad.
Yeah,
right?
It's going to be the most amazing Naughty Jim experience yet.
Yeah, we're really excited about it, and we'll be releasing more details probably this week, depending on when you see this video. But there's a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a really special event, and we're super excited to do it.
Yeah. So, okay. Going into our Smoky Mountain adventure. So we had 15 couples, right? 15?
Yep.
And we rented this amazing mansion in the mountains. It was 4 floors, had an elevator, a theater room.
Supposedly one of the handful or few largest cabins, although it seems wrong to call it a cabin.
Right, yeah.
But one of the largest ones in the Smoky Mountains.
Amazing.
Huge.
Indoor heated pool, hot tub, pool table, like game room with arcade games. And I mean, it just had everything you could possibly want. We didn't even really need to leave the house. It was just so incredible being there. So a lot of differences from our Montana trip to this trip.
Yeah, we learned some lessons from our first to our second adventure trip. We probably over-itinerized our first trip a little bit, and everybody was so tired and exhausted that it took a few days for the nightly parties to really kick off, because everybody kept going to bed real early every night.
Well, nobody went to bed early this week, including us. I think I averaged like 3 hours of sleep every night.
Yeah, this one was very different. Even though we had a lot of things we were doing, we did a better job, I think, of creating a schedule that allowed for interaction and playtime. And man, the play stuff started
on night
one, even though that was only a half day, and it just got crazier and wilder as the week went on.
Yeah, so one of my absolute favorite things, and this came from our Montana trip. So on our Montana trip, the last day, there was like a living area around a fireplace, and all of the women kind of organically met there, kind of just to say goodbye and talk about some of the experiences that we had that week. And the guys, I think, were outside on the deck talking shop. And the women were able to kind of open up and be really vulnerable with each other. And we all said we wished we had done that on day one, because it's kind of disarming and it just helped bond us a little bit. And then we were leaving. And so I decided we were going to do that on day one of the Smoky Mountain adventure trip. And I had told you, I said, we're going to do mimosas with April. And I think you said, well, what are the guys going to do? What are we going to do?
Yeah. And we ended up doing the same thing, essentially.
Yeah. So we split the guys and the girls up. And this was officially the first full day, but day 2.
The morning of the first full day.
Yeah. The women, we all gathered around the fireplace in the big living room, had mimosas. And essentially what we did was I told a little story about my experience with friendship and how I was raised with my best friend, basically. I met my best friend when I was like in 3rd or 4th grade. She grew up across the street from me. And she and I could not be more opposite. She is a little petite, 5 foot nothing, and dark hair and blue eyes. And growing up, it was like twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Are you calling your best friend
Danny DeVito? No, I'm not.
But I hope she hears
when we would walk around, it was that stark contrast, because I was a giant at that age. You know, I was already 5'8", and she was just little bitty. But also our interests in high school were very different. We didn't really hang out with the same crowd of people in high school. But when we came home, we knew we were there for each other. And so we're going on 35 years of friendship, and we've never had a fight. She grew up kind of maybe atheist or agnostic, and I grew up very religious, but there was never any judgment. It was such a, looking back, such a rare thing to have in a friendship.
Despite your differences.
Despite our
it was an
differences,
easy friendship.
it was an easy friendship.
Yep.
And there was so many times where she would say to me, I don't care what you do. I just want you to be happy. And so as I grew up, I measured every friendship and every relationship against that relationship. And what I never found that again until the lifestyle. And I found in the lifestyle this supportive group of women who were just like Gina was. I don't care what you do. I just want you to be happy. Whatever that is. If you want to be religious, be religious. If you want to be political, be political. If you want to have, a gangbang, I just want you to be happy. And so when I was telling that story, though, at Mimosas with April, I could see women already starting to cry because women don't have those relationships. At least not like that.
Yeah.
And most women grow up, and I actually used to say this all the time, I get along better with men, right? Because there's very little drama when it comes to men. Men don't tend to be petty or judgmental. But I've found that in the lifestyle now, that there's these group of women who don't judge, they want to lift you up and encourage you and want you to be your best self because they too are on this journey of self-discovery and trying to be the best that they can be. And so it really was an amazing thing.
And they started opening up.
Oh yeah, the women were opening up and sharing their own experiences and what they want out of a lifestyle and what their fears are and what they're wanting. And so it was really a beautiful thing, and it set the tone for the women, I think, for the rest of the week.
And it did for the men too, because all of us, regardless of gender, especially when we're fairly new, coming into something like this, it's going to be an intimate party for a week.
Yeah.
You don't know necessarily what to expect, and we did have some very new people there. At least 3 couples that were brand new or had never been to anything like this before, and going around the room, and because we did the same thing in the men's group, we just went around the room and said, talk about your experiences, your what you're comfortable with, what you're worried about, what your wife might be worried about.
And I was happy to hear that because I think at one point you said, I'm not even sure what I'm going to do with these guys. Like, I guess we'll just play pool or something,
yeah, because we were in the game room.
Yeah.
But it was great.
Yeah.
I talked about our experiences and the things that we liked, didn't like, the things that we've done, haven't done. And then it just went around the room and everybody opened up about their lifestyle journey. And it was great to see because all the guys, I know for me that if we're going to be in a situation where we're considering playing with another couple, I need to have that camaraderie and trust level with the other guy. I need to know that this guy respects the situation and then in turn respects me and you. And so it's important for me. And I think you have that same kind of feeling about the women as well. So it sort of broke down a lot of barriers with the guys. Yeah. And we all came out of that on the very first morning feeling much closer to each other. And universally, all of us say that was a fantastic way to start the trip.
Well, and you guys would have kept going. I mean, we cut ourselves short because we had, I forget where we
You came and got us.
Yeah, but I had to bust up in there and make them stop. I forget
we were going skiing.
We were going skiing after that, yeah. So the women had to go finish getting ready, but the guys, we both could have probably gone on for a couple hours.
It was so beneficial to the group that we are currently discussing ways that we can bring that. And that's easy to do in a group of 15 couples.
Right.
It's not so easy to do at a full takeover, but we're discussing ways of trying to implement that exact scenario into this full resort takeover at Hedo, where we're going to have 250 to 280 couples all in the same place. But we think we have a path forward. It was that beneficial, and we feel like that important going forward for what it is we like to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Which brings us to what it is that we like to do. On these trips, the whole goal for us is to create something a little bit different in the lifestyle. There's a good number of phenomenal events out there now, and we go to a lot of them that are at the beach or at the pool or at a resort where it turns into a giant, wonderful, consensually non-monogamous party. There's drinking, there's food, there's parties, there's dancing, and all that stuff's great, and we love all of that.
Yeah.
But we also like to be out in nature and do challenging things, adventurous things, fun things. And so we tried to create our trips with an itinerary full of things that people are going to remember. And we started off that first day after mimosas going skiing.
Yeah.
Right? And so how did that go?
So I haven't been skiing since I was a teenager. So we all started out doing lessons. There was a group, well, not all of us. Some people like Kate from Monogamous, she's a very experienced skier. Yeah. And these hills in the Smokies are nothing compared to what she's used to. So this was just like a piece of cake for her. And there was a couple others too. But you and I and a group of probably 6 others decided we needed to take lessons.
It's probably more than that, 10 or 12, something like that.
We were going to take lessons. So we got our skis, headed over to the bunny slopes, and spent about an hour taking lessons. And it was a lot of fun. Our instructor was very patient.
And our instructor started to get a sense of who we were and what
she wanted to come party with us.
Yeah, she was planning to see that maybe she should get an invite to our party.
But after the lessons were done, I was like, I know myself. I'm self-aware enough to know that I wasn't going to push my limits and head up the bigger hill. I was done. I tapped out.
And a few of us that felt a little more comfortable after the lesson or had some experience went up and did a couple runs down the hill.
Well, you also had not an agenda, but you kind of had...
I had been skiing one other time in my life when I was about 10, somewhere around there, and it was on that exact place, on that exact hill. I went down the ski slope once. I'm not going to tell the whole story.
You were like 12 years old.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I ended up on the hill going straight down, had no idea how to stop, and felt like I was doing 100 miles an hour. When I hit the bottom, crashed into some barricades, knocked a few people down, and have never skied since. So it was an attempt to make right my big athletic failure when I was 10 years old. So
prove to yourself that you could do it.
I came down the hill relatively safely. A couple little minor falls, but I did okay.
You got to the bottom of the hill.
I felt like I was going faster than the video.
Right. So I was waiting at the bottom with the video, and he gets down. He said, "Did you see how fast I came around that corner?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I know it started up higher than I could actually see, so maybe it was a corner that I was out of my view." And I was like, well, I don't know. I don't think I saw it. And then I showed him the video. He was literally going 3 miles an hour around the curve, but I'm sure it felt much faster.
Oh, yeah, it felt a lot faster than that. Yeah, but we don't need to talk about that.
Okay.
And so not all of our group skied. Some of them opted to sit in the newly renovated lodge at Over Gatlinburg and have drinks and eat and just,
and there was some other rides. Some went ice skating and stuff.
Yeah, there were a lot of things that people did up there, but it was a great day of having some really unique adventures that you probably, or may not ever have again. Yeah. So, our itinerary had a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
it was fun but active adventures for us to go on. So, for instance, one day we had a sips and paint.
Yeah,
where a local art school created a custom picture. That we all painted as couples. So each couple had 2 canvases. Yeah. And so I was responsible for painting one half of ours, and she was responsible for painting the other. And then when they come together at the end, they made one big picture, kind of. If you're good, it looked like one big picture. Ours.
But it was a good bonding experience, and it was fun to see. That was our last real big event.
No, because we had the debacle on the last night.
But,
so that was fun, but that was very unique because we had all of these hypersexual people in this big mansion of a cabin, and an art school comes in and teaches us how to paint a picture together. But man, everybody was so engaged with that. You could just look around and see
Well,
how.
so what happened before that kind of set the tone, though. So Catherine with Expansive Connection had
same.
come in. We're skipping forward a few days.
This is not going to be in order, probably.
So this was our last day, full day there. So we, Catherine with Expansive Connection came in that morning after breakfast and talked to us about conflict resolution and how to work through problems that pop up in the lifestyle. It's just, if you've been in the lifestyle for any amount of time, you've already worked through some issues. I mean, it just happens. How to deal with jealousy and stuff like that. So there were some wet eyes during that as well. It was a really good session. She's a counselor or a licensed therapist for couples, and she specializes in couples that are in non-monogamous relationships, polyamorous, and alternative lifestyles.
And then after that was over, she did this. She also has a yoga teaching background and did a couples yoga session with us that was so interesting because it was fun. It was some innovative thing. I mean, you and I have done a good deal of yoga, but there were some new things in there because we were doing them as couples. But what was interesting as you looked around the room towards the end, there was a lot of people crying in some of the poses because they were very intimate, close connection or bonding type poses. And, and she was talking us through some of them, and it really stirred up some emotions to where there were quite a few people crying during this yoga session, which was nice and unexpected.
Well, it's hard, when you're at an event like that for a week long, sometimes it's hard to get that connecting time with your partner, right? Because there's so many activities going on and so much to do. So it kind of gave us space to kind of be quiet and be present and just focus on the beautiful relationship that people have with their significant other. So that was nice. And then we went right into the sips and paint. So I think that's why the sips and paint was so beautiful, was because we were already feeling so connected to our partner. And then we were partnered together again for an hour or two, painting and laughing, and
everybody displayed their paintings all over the cabinet. It was really pretty neat. Now,
fun.
We also, I think,
they probably won't get hung up in our house, but
it's not a inappropriate picture.
No, but
it's also not really good. Or at least my side of it wasn't. I think it was the day before. It was also a day we went hiking. So we took this beautiful hike through a part of the Smoky Mountains. And one of the things, and this is one of the reasons I believe these types of activities are so beneficial to us in these lifestyle situations. I won't name names because we probably shouldn't, but at some point, me and a guy that I've become really good friends with ended up walking by ourselves and got into this really deep conversations about some things, good things, some things we struggle with, all lifestyle related. And that probably was like 45 minutes of he and I just walking along talking. And goodness, that was such a bonding experience and helped with some things I had been struggling with.
Right.
And I know that you ended up in a similar situation on that hike.
With his wife, right. I think we turned back. She was having some knee issues, so we turned back a little bit early on our hike because we needed to get back to the van. But having a friend who can be a sounding board but also call you out on your shit is priceless. Which she will, and so will him. Well, and really, not many of our friends in the lifestyle wouldn't. And that's why we value our friendships and the connections so much, is because we don't want friends who are just like yes people, right? Who just agree with everything we do and think everything we do is, think everything we do is okay, but we'll also say, yeah, you were kind of out of line there. Or, I need that. And you do that for me. But it's also nice when a friend can do that and you know that they love you. They're doing it in a loving way.
And I don't know if this sounds hokey, but there's something about being out in nature that is disarming and helps you to open up. And we had a very in-depth conversation on that hour or so that we were just walking by ourselves. But so that was a fantastic hike for everybody, and it set the stage for later that night when maybe one of the most fun things that we did is we had a couple of actors came in from this company that specializes in doing murder mystery events,
dinner parties,
and they literally came to our cabin and set up an entire murder mystery in our cabin.
A 1920s murder mystery.
Yeah, it was, and so we were all dressed as like gangsters or I don't know.
Yeah, 1920s, Great Gatsby kind of feel.
Yeah, and some of the people in the room were recruited in as characters in the mystery, and then the rest of us were actors. And I don't think anybody in the room had any clue who did it.
No.
But there were so many times they would have us get up and we'd have to go ask certain people certain questions and trying to solve it. And that thing became hilarious by the end because you got 30 swingers, most of which were probably drinking, having to try and solve what was an incredibly complicated storyline. And it just became hilarious.
Yeah.
And calamity ensued by the end.
Yeah. If you wonder how we plan these events, we basically just sit around and go, what would we love to do? And that was like, wouldn't it be cool to do a murder mystery? Like, I've never done that before. You had never done that before. So we're like, let's do it. Same with the Sips and Pain. We're like, I've never done that before. Let's do it.
And those actors were phenomenal.
They really were. They drove in from Atlanta.
Yeah.
And
they made a 4-hour or so drive just to come to our cabin in the mountains of Tennessee to do a murder mystery. Really cool. So it was fantastic. It wasn't cheap, but it was worth it.
It was fun.
Yeah. And of course we had parties, and what was amazing about this one, and I think some of it is owed to the fact that we started with those close conversations where the guys were separate from the women.
Yeah.
And, the sexual energy at this event was off the charts from night one.
Yeah.
We had a party every night, like you would expect, probably at these types of things. We had a glow party, and there was an indoor heated pool that we had lights and crazy looking designs being flashed up on the wall. So that was a fun night. We had the Great Gatsby night where it started with the murder mystery and this turned into a party afterwards. But man, the playroom and the
hot tub area.
The hot tub area.
The hot tub that was like a 4-person hot tub
that always
got turned into a 10-person hot tub.
Yeah, that was
we had to refill it every day.
Yeah, we had to go buy chemicals because we were
and drain it. Yeah, it was very clean. So.
But overall, this trip turned into something, I think, that without exception, by the end, people were talking about. It really seemed borderline magical. I don't want to use cliche terms.
Well, so what was so great about this, I think, compared to Montana? In Montana, we had so much going on. There was very little downtime. But also, in Montana, we had one gathering room. And then the sleeping quarters, a lot of people were in
separate.
Had to go out of the area, walk to their cabins. This was all under one roof.
We could not have selected a more perfect venue to host something like this.
My favorite place to hang out, even in our own home, is my kitchen because there's music going. Everybody will come in while I'm cooking, and it's just a cool hangout. And so one night I think it was the last night. Yeah. And there was a couple times this happened, but never as magical as this. We were down in the game room.
Yeah.
We were down in the game room.
We had a game room and then a room next to it that was like a bar.
Yeah.
That we turned into the playroom. So you had this great game room with air hockey table, pool table, like video games. Yeah. And then on the other side of the fireplace was this playroom and the hot tub.
That opened. Had garage doors that opened up to the hot tub.
Perfect setup.
Yeah. So we were in the game room. And somebody came and said, you guys have to come upstairs to the kitchen and see what's going on.
And the way that was said, I thought we were going to walk into some sort of kitchen orgy.
Right. But it wasn't.
No.
We walked in, and every single person in that cabin was in the kitchen, sitting on the counters, leaning over the island, making drinks, hanging out. And it was just a buzz. Like everyone was having these conversations.
It was so loud, but it was not any one person being loud. everybody was involved in a deep conversation.
Yeah.
There was laughing. People were just picking at all the food. I mean, we had so much food.
We had so much food.
And drinking moonshine and different drinks that people were making. But it was people doing normal things.
Yeah.
There was nothing sexual about it. I didn't see people making out. Maybe that happened at points, but it was just good people doing more or less mundane things.
Yeah.
But you could tell that week had culminated in that sort of unexpected moment where everybody in the cabins gathered around the kitchen, just connecting in a normal way.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
It really was magical and completely unexpected, completely planned. Those kinds of things you
can't put that on a schedule or an itinerary.
Meet up at the kitchen tonight, eat snacks, kind of thing.
Yeah, I wish we could. I wish we knew what levers and buttons to push to make that happen, because that was magical.
I think in a way we've certainly learned to do. This one was a dramatic step up from the success of the first one. The first one was great. We loved it. We did some things that I'll never forget. But this one had that special sauce. Yeah. And we've learned a lot from that first trip that hopefully we can continue to replicate and improve in future trips. And some of those things we're going to try to bring to Hedonism, even though it'll be more difficult there with a huge crew. But
yeah, there's a lot. What we're coming into is, our events are usually 15 to 17 couples, which allows for that intimacy, right? And the time to really foster deep connections. And so,
because everybody was crying the day we left.
Oh yeah.
Hugging, crying.
Right.
Yeah.
So our goal for our Be Better at Being Bad week is to create the space to have those intimacies and to foster those connections. I think we can do that.
Yeah, and there's no way you can get as close to, I think it's 280 rooms.
Right,
You can't do that
with everybody. But you can with some.
You can segment it off, and you can make some really close connections. And I think there's ways that we can simulate that a little bit at Hedonism.
I think so.
And our future events as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're hoping to potentially have another adventure trip in October of this year. We're working on the details of that, but we're not going to say anything yet because it's still up in the air.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, it was a phenomenal trip. It was certainly for me, and I know we're biased, but it was my favorite lifestyle experience ever.
Yeah, I agree.
Just because of the deep connections, and we were hearing this from everybody in a way that we weren't hearing it from our first trip.
Right.
And
we did hear good stuff from our first trip.
Right. Now, I'm not saying we heard good stuff.
And we missed the ones from our first trip who couldn't make it on this one too.
Yeah, that's right. And maybe this second one was so good because some of those people didn't show up from the first trip. Just kidding, all you guys. We love you. That is not true at all.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah, how do you want to wrap this up? Now that I've just messed it all up.
Yeah, no, you didn't. Yeah. So I'm going to wrap it up by saying, mark your calendars for January 6th through the 13th, 2024. Because Being Better at Being Bad week is going to be everything you can't imagine.
Hedonism Resort has been fantastic for us to work with. They really have sort of rolled out the red carpet for us and given us full control of the event and the itinerary and the venue. All of the standard Hedo stuff is still going to be there. They're incredible entertainment. With those shows at night are awesome. Their playrooms and all of their activities that are included in the cost.
There really isn't a lot that Hedo doesn't do right.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Their food is good. Their staff is just freaking amazing. They're all rock stars. We've worked really close with Marsha Lynn from the gym at Hedo, and she is a spitfire. She's amazing. But they really have been good to us.
Yeah, the itinerary is going to be full of things, though, that really are intended to help you be better at being bad. And of course, being bad is a play on the maybe society's view on what we do. But there's going to be fitness experts, nutrition experts, mindset, yoga, meditation people. There's going to be
therapists,
people that work with different aspects of non-monogamy, consensual non-monogamy. There's going to be different experts in different topics like hormonal health, maybe even someone that is going to talk about psychedelics. I think it's safe to say that.
Yeah,
we can talk about
we can
those
say
things.
that. But then there's also going to be fitness challenges and competitions. And now I also want to put this out there. You don't have to be the fittest person in the world to come to this, right?
Correct.
You just have to want to be better at being bad. And so it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter what size you are. It doesn't matter. None of that matters where you're at in your health and fitness journey. What matters is that you want to be a better person. You want to be a better version of yourself. And that's what we want to help you do.
Yeah, most of us, not all now, it's starting to grow with the younger community a little bit, but most of us don't find the lifestyle until we're a little older. And I know for us, one of the things we have said is that we hate that it's taken us this long to find this journey,
Right.
Because we're getting older and we don't have as much time and can't enjoy it maybe as fully as we could have in our 20s and 30s.
Right.
Of course, maybe we wouldn't have been able to emotionally deal with it at that point. But this is what we want to do, is to help you extend your life vitality as long as possible so you can be involved in things like this and enjoy the lifestyle and keep an active sex life well past when others tend to.
Yeah.
And I think we have a fantastic lineup that's going to really help with that.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Well, if you have questions about Be Better at Being Bad Week or any of our adventure trips, or if you just want to join our community at naughtygym.com, we provide daily workouts, demo videos, coaching, everything, nutritional advice, everything you need to get fit and healthy on our platform. And it's just $20 a month.
That's right. All right, guys, stay naughty, and we'll see you next time.